Okay, so this is part 2 of the tooltip tutorial. The code is exactly the same as part 1. The only difference is we're going to modify the draw GUI. I have 2 objects here. This is just so I can make the tutorial easier for myself. They're the same apart from the draw GUI. So don't worry if I don't show you the code for this one apart from the draw GUI. So what's going to be different in this tutorial, we are going to have the ability to draw words mid-sentence with a different font and different color. You can't do that with the default, or you can't easily do that really with the default GameMaker functions. So we're going to code it ourselves basically. And the way we're going to do it is we are going to draw each sentence character by character. We're going to pick 2 symbols, one for fonts, one for colors, and whenever our code detects one of those 2 symbols, we're going to change the font and color based on the number that comes after the symbol. So, for example, if green was 0 and red was 1, and we found the symbol for color and the number after it was 1. We would use draw set color and change it to red. It's like that, and it's the same for fonts. So the other thing to bear in mind is we're going to have to draw the words ourselves. GameMaker does that for you with draw text ext. It won't split a word between lines. But we're going to have to code that ourselves too. So that's what a lot of the code is going to be about. But I think I've explained enough. Let's just jump into it. Okay, so we're also using a different CSV file because we want to include the special characters and numbers, like I said. So I'm just going to open that now to show you. Okay, so you can see it looks a bit funky because of this stuff. What this is doing, or what this will do, is it's going to let us know, it's going to let the game know what font and color to draw with. So that's what these symbols and characters are about. The very first step we're going to do though is we're going to draw this whole line just character by character. We're not going to worry about doing it over extra lines on this first pass. We're just simply going to, make our own draw text code basically. So if we go into the draw GUI of our object, this stuff is just what was in the basic, but we don't need this line anymore because we're going to be drawing the text ourselves. Oops. So the first step is going to be this stuff. We're going to set up some variables. Count is going to be how far along the text are we. So if I open the CSV, count's going to start here at 1, then it'll go 2, 3, 4, etc. That's how count's going to increase. This is going to happen every step, every time the draw event's called. Okay, so for current line length, we're going to be using DrawX to draw characters across the screen. But how do we know where to draw each character? Well, I've coded it so that you can use any kind of font. It doesn't have to be monospace. But in a lot of fonts, in fonts that aren't monospace, the width of each character can be different. So we need to allow for that. So how we're going to do this is we're going to add the width of each character to current line length, and then the next character is going to be drawn at DrawX plus this, and then the width of this next character is going to be added to current line length, and then this next character is going to be drawn, and so on, so on. So DrawX draw Y is just where are we going to draw our text basically. So in this first region, draw the text, I've tried to make it as simple as possible because we're just going to draw the text on the screen, like I said. we want to draw the whole text, and we're going to be using count for that. So while count is less than or equal to the length of text, then we're going to do this loop to make sure we get every character. This little show debug will show the character we're trying to draw. This is useful for debugging the symbol stuff, like the symbols for the font and the color. And then we're going to use draw text to draw the character at the draw X, draw Y, like I said, and the character that's been grabbed. And this is updating current line length and count, like I said. So very simple right now. It's not going to do much apart, we could have just used draw text for this, but this is how we have to start. So you can see, using our code, we're drawing the text like this. It's drawing all of our symbols and numbers, which we don't want, but we haven't coded for that yet. But I just want to make sure that you're up to this stage first, so we can kind of progress from there. Okay, so now we are going to draw text with different fonts and colors. We're just going to get that done now because it's simpler than checking for the words. We're going to need a couple of things. We're going to need 2 fonts so we can change between them. And we're going to have 2 scripts. One script is change font, one script is change color. The fonts I have is mana space, regular. I'm just going to change this to something different though, just to prove that it doesn't have to be a monospace font. Let's try this one, this will do. And then we have this one, FNT1, which is size 14, and it's Lucida console. I've no idea what it is, but this is what it looks like. Let's just change this as well to something a bit different. Find one. Okay, this will do. We'll stick with this. Okay, so 2 fonts, and then we have 2 scripts. This is change font. Don't need this. So, oops. Yeah, we don't need it. So, we're just going to use a variable called index, which is what we're going to pass to the script. If it's 0, then we're going to change our font to 0. If it's 1, we're going to change our font to 1. Pretty simple. And with change color, again, we're going to pass it index, which is just a number. If it's 0, we're going to change the color to white. If it's 1, we're going to change the color to lime. Dead easy. Let me just zoom in. Sorry. Maximum. So there's change color. And this is change font. I have show debug messages here. You don't have to put them, but if you are having problems, it will be useful to have them in both of the scripts. So that's our fonts and our scripts. The code for this. So nothing new in this region, but in draw text, we've got a couple of things. This stuff is new. So this code here, we're going to check for the special characters. Our special characters are the @ symbol and the hashtag. So if it's this or this, if car is this or this, then special equals car. We're going to hold car in special. The reason we have to do that is because we're going to use car again to get the number. This is just a show debug message to show count and special. So if you look at our CSV, oops. If you look at our CSV, you can see that, come on. You can see that after every one of our symbols, we have a number. It's going to be 0 or 1. Yes. So at the moment, when car equals a special character, we then want to know what's the number next to the special character. Okay, so to do that, we're going to increase the count by 1 and then set car as whatever the number is, like that. So That's what this code is going to be about now. So, like I said, we want to know the number, so increase the count, update car to whatever the number is. And then if the special is hashtag, we're going to run our font script using the real, because car is a string of car. Car should be a number at this point. If it's not, you'll get a crash and you've made a mistake somewhere. It could be within the message itself. It could be within the code. If special is the @ symbol, then again, change color our car, but it has to be the real of it, like that. And that's this new region done. We're going to wrap our previous stuff in an else statement, because we don't want to draw the numbers or the symbols, and we only want to update the current line length. If it's not a symbol or a number, you can still have numbers in your text. It's just the number that comes directly after the symbol that we don't want to draw. And then count has to still be increase regardless of whether car is a special or not. So that's why that's like that. So make sure you've got this down, and then we're going to run the game, and we'll be able to see some text with different colors and a different font for 0. So there we go. We have 2 different fonts, 2 different colors. The text for text is a lot bigger. It pops out. That's the kind of, you want to use a different font and color for things you want to pop out. So that's what it's for. The only thing we need to do now really is to draw our text on multiple lines, and that's probably as much code as the whole of the rest of it. So we'll get to that now. Okay, so now this final part requires a little bit of an explanation, just so you're on the same page as me. We are going to draw these lines or these sentences over multiple lines. The problem we have is, okay, well, we don't want to split a word up between lines. We want to, if we have a word that doesn't fit, we want to draw it on the start of the next line. We don't want to split it in 2. So how do we do that? Well, when we get to a character like the letter T here, because we don't need to check the symbols and the numbers that come after them. When we get to the letter T, we're going to check every character that comes after it without drawing them until we get to a space. And when we get to a space, we know that, okay, yeah, this is a full word. And then all we have to do is check the length of this word plus our existing variable current line length to see if it's going to fit onto our line. Now would be a good time to show you that we have a variable called max line length. So we're not going to allow lines longer than 200 pixels. So basically, if current line length is 180 and the length of the word is 30, then it's not going to fit. We have to make a new line, which is what this is about. So when we draw stuff with draw Y, we're just going to do draw Y plus line times line height. And that's going to give us the difference between the lines. That's going to make everything get drawn properly for us. All of this explanation really is so I can tell you what count last checked is going to be for. So we've done this stuff here. Car has changed to the T, but we don't know whether this word is going to fit onto the line. So before we draw anything else, any more characters, we haven't even drawn the T yet. We're going to check all of these characters until we get to a space. And then we know we've done a word. But what happens when we've drawn the letter T and we get to the letter H? We don't need to check this stuff again, because we already know that these characters are part of the same word. So we're going to use this variable called count last checked. All it's for is whenever we've checked a word and we hit a space, we're going to set count last checked to whatever count is for that space. And then when count comes to a new character, we're going to say, okay, is count greater than count last checked? If it is, then we have to check. Otherwise, we've already checked and we can just skip checking whether it's going to fit because we've already done that stuff. So, for example, at the start of the draw event, count last checked equals 0. Count is it's 5. Is 5 greater than 0? Yes, it is. Okay, do the checks. Then we're going to get to here. We're going to set count last checked to 9 because we've checked that word. Then count is going to draw T. Then it gets to H. It's going to say, okay, do we need to check if this is part of the word? Is count is count greater than count last checked? No, it's not, because count is 6 and count last checked is 9. So it's just going to draw H. It's going to draw the I. It's going to draw the S. It's going to draw the space. Then it's going to get to I, where count is 10. Is 10 greater than 9? Yes, it is. Okay, we need to check the word. So that's what this is for. It just saves on calculations. It saves us a bit of FPS. Hopefully that explanation was worthy of it. I've already explained these other 3 variables. They should be pretty straightforward to understand. And now we're going to update our draw the text region. So the main thing here really is this new region. How big is the word? This is just going to do the code that I've just been talking about. Okay, so we have updated the draw the text region. This region here is where most of the code is, but let's just do this stuff here now. So we've already done it. So after we've been checking for the word, we just want to make sure that car is still set to the original letter before we checked for the whole word. So we're going to reset car here again to the current count of text, and we update the draw text line to allow for line times line height, and that's it for the updates. This just means we can draw on more than one line now, basically. Okay, now let's go into the meat of this stuff. So all of this is the code. So if the character is not equal to a space, then we want to check to see how big the word is. Like I said, if count is less than count last checked, then it means we've already checked these characters. We don't have to do it again, so we will just skip all of this stuff. Otherwise, if count is greater than or equal to count last checked, then we're going to do our checks. Because we don't want to draw any of these letters yet, we're going to use a new variable called temp count, and we're going to use this to increase and check like letter by letter. So temp count is going to be set here, and then it's going to increase by 1 until we get to the space. That means that count is going to remain there while we check the whole of the word. So that's what it's all about. Okay, so we've just set temp count as count plus 1. We want to initialize word as nothing because we're going to be adding the characters to word. So what we're going to do is, like I said, this loop is just going to check character by character, or this character by character is going to check until we get to the space, and then we know we've come to the end of the word. That's all this loop is going to do. We also want to make sure that we don't exceed the length of text by temp count. So that's all this stuff is going to be for. And then, as I've said a few times, once we have our word, if the current line length plus the width of the string width of the word is greater than max line length, so 200 pixels, then we want to increase line and we want to reset current line length. So that's going to have the effect of when we're drawing it, it's going to start drawing our characters on the next line and from the far left again. So that's what this stuff is about. And then we have to update count last checked to temp count, so we don't check all these letters again. And that's it. That's all of our code. Let's just zoom out. This is how it should look for you. If we now run the game, so this line is too short, but if we go to 2, you can see we're now drawing on multiple lines, and if we go to 1, it's the same thing. The only thing is we're not changing the font or the color for those, so let's just do that now, just to prove that it works. Data files, extra. So this is how you would change the font and color. So I want to have this first word as green, and then we're going to reset it to the original font and color afterwards. So let's just save that and then run the game again. So where's 1? There it is. Oh, sorry, that's because did I not format it properly? Oh, I did the same character. Oh my god. Let's change this to an @ symbol. There we go. Alright, it should work now. There we go. So we have text drawn over multiple lines. All the words are together. None of the letters are split. And we have different fonts with different colors. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.